Hi, ChatEDU fans. I'm Cam Audia, executive producer of ChatEDU. Matt and Liz need your help. They're pitching a live episode of ChatEDU at South by Southwest EDU, one of the biggest stages for education innovation. Liz is also pitching a workshop on personal interest projects. To get selected, they need your votes. The South by Southwest EDU panel picker is now open, and every vote will help get them closer to the big stage. Scan the QR codes or click the links in the show notes and vote today. Voting ends August 24th, so please vote now and share this announcement with your friends.
This episode of ChatEDU is sponsored by the National Center for Next Generation Manufacturing, helping students and educators build workforce-ready skills through innovation. You can visit them at nextgenmfg.org. We work in a town called Westport, Connecticut. Natalie Kerrigan is the digital learning director there. Tom Scarice is the superintendent. I'm going to be with their leadership team next week. Really interesting folks. They were part of the state pilot.
Yep. All
sorts of really cool stuff going on. But I was on the phone with Natalie last week, and she told me about a prompt. And I know how you love a good prompt, right?
Oh, geez. Am I going to have to try it?
Yeah. So this is Kelly Zatorsky and Rosemary Metke. These are two of the folks that have been doing some of the work in the district. And it's just a really fun prompt. We love these prompts where it is leveraging AI memory. And so the prompt is, tell me how I have grown, ye old ChatGPT, in my ability to use ChatGPT in my prompting interactions.
All right.
Right. So you just drop that one. You don't even need a reasoning model because it's going to leverage memory and kind of come up with all sorts of stuff. And Liz, you look confused. Have you not used ChatGPT enough for it to know anything about you and how you've evolved as a prompter?
Yeah, that's the problem.
All right, Liz, you have conferred with the Oracle, and have you grown?
Yes, I've made substantial progress in my ability to use ChatGPT effectively, and it's evident in the structure of my prompts, the complexity of my use cases, and my confidence in integrating AI across multiple domains.
Okay, give us a little flavor.
So my prompts often show clear roles and contexts, specified outcomes, and constraints and boundaries. I've had sophistication in use cases, so designing the micro-credential, statewide surveys and evaluations, conference proposals, and writing and reflecting on AI policies, ethics, and instructions. So I am not just using it for output, but as a thought partnership.
Oh, good. I was worried about your cognitive deficits and brain rot.
Yeah, nope. I prompt as though ChatGPT is my co-teacher, editor, producer, or researcher. I confidently loop it into my thinking. And I'm reflective and iterative. I've grown in my iteration, so I revise, follow up, and refine instead of accepting the first result. And I've explored divergent paths. Yeah, this actually makes me feel really good. I've learned how to specify educational standards, use AI ethically with students and adults, develop interactive products, and reflect deeply on risks like bias, hallucination, and student safety.
Well, the memory feature is just, it's so interesting.
But this is the best part. This shows you've moved beyond novelty into expert territory, treating AI as a pedagogical tool, not a gimmick.
Yeah. So it reflects a few things back to us. Clearly the memory function, right? Although it's interesting it didn't talk about your fiber arts because you do interact there a bit.
Not as much though, definitely.
That's all work.
Mostly, almost all work.
And no fiber arts makes Liz a micro-credential whiz. But it also reflects back a little of the sycophancy issue, right? You know, it would be nice because you were asking about growth. So it would be nice, like, you know, we use growth positive framing here, but it'd be nice if it said, well, your deficits in the beginning included the fact that your prompts were shallow, or you were only doing, you know, prompts where you're making stuff, you know, and instead it's like, you're amazing. You've grown here and there and there and here. And I celebrate that, but it does reflect back to us all sorts of interesting things, including memory and a little bit of like sycophancy.
Well, now I just asked it for my deficits in using it.
Okay.
So it is saying my growth is still undeniable. But just like with any developing skill, there are areas where I could deepen my expertise and stretch further. So and this is very true, I don't use my successful prompts, turn them into repeatable frameworks. So I'm not great at making a lot of custom GPTs, so I don't make a lot of templates. I sometimes default to fresh prompts rather than building on previous outputs. Yeah, it's true. I could definitely push further into persona-based interactions or contrast prompts to compare perspectives.
Yeah. So that's all really interesting too. It would be nice. There are people who put into their like personalization settings just like that, like be a tough partner. But it would be nice if they would just dial down a little bit of the like, you're the most amazing thing in the world, because that's all great. Like it's super helpful. But why do you need to reprompt the system? Be like, okay, Bob, come on,
Right. Like tell me what I'm bad at.
Give me the cold truth here. And that may get better. I just saw Sam Altman in an interview. I can't remember if it was Theo Vaughn. One day he's with Theo Vaughn. The next day he's with like the Federal Reserve.
Right.
It's like, yeah, all the same stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So in one of those two settings, someone asked him, it was Theo Vaughn, I think, asked him about the M dashes. And he's like, yeah, we got to fix that. And this is true too. They really got to lighten up on the you're amazing.
Yes.
I'm assuming that there's some metrics that tell them that that's what they need to do. All right. Very good stuff. And thanks again to the folks from Westport. We really enjoy the partnership working with them. And that is a great prompt. All right, Liz, are you a massage person? Last week I asked you if you were a cooker, and I've been made fun of by people with that. So yeah, you are a massage person.
I am.
So interesting. Like out of the gate, I would not take you for a massage person.
Love a massage.
All right. Well, I thought you'd enjoy this story. I had a vague memory that you were a massage person. So this is from Axios. I shared this with you over the weekend while you were recovering from Fiber Arts Camp. Tell us about this. This is from Axios.
Yeah, so the title is, I tried a new AI-powered robot massage in Minnesota. So Lifetime in Chanhassen, Minnesota is piloting an AI-powered robotic massage chair from Aescape, AESCAPE, offering customizable, fully clothed sessions at a lower price than human therapists. The experience is described as surprisingly human-like and relaxing with growing popularity. There's been over 600 sessions since the spring. And while it doesn't fully replicate traditional spa treatments, experts say robotic touch is rapidly advancing. This is part of a broader trend of robots replacing human roles in wellness and service industries. I just, I've sat in like massage chairs and they definitely don't feel like a human massage. And when I think of a robot, I think of very like angular and metal and like pointy. I don't think of like the soft touch of human hands. Mm-hmm. So this is interesting. I mean, I'm always up for trying a massage. Maybe I need to be flown to Minnesota. Actually, I'm going to Minnesota for NSTA. Maybe I'll have to find that massage place.
All right. Well, I just texted the image over to you so you can have a look. When you look at the picture, it does not necessarily look like, ooh, that's something I necessarily want to do.
Oh, that's weird.
Isn't it? It's like little robot. Describe it to the listening audience.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look human-like at all. So it's like two kind of white tubey things coming out of the side of a massage table. They like come down onto your body and they are curved. It looks more like an x-ray machine at a dental, in a dentist chair than it does like, oh, this is going to be a relaxing spa experience. Yeah. But I mean, I'm willing to give it a try.
Yeah. Now, naturally, because you like massage, you like getting pampered, but you also take your responsibilities both at work and home, seriously. So I imagine you do a lot of laundry.
No, again, that is in the Adam category.
Unbelievable. So this is a quick video we'll drop into the feed as well. There's a pretty popular Figure robot. So Figure is one of the robot systems and companies. I think OpenAI has got a big investment in them. And this, I believe this is the guy that owns the Figure robot, but it is essentially doing the laundry. This is the thing everybody's been waiting for.
Yes.
It's the Figure robot. And he is, gently taking the laundry out of the laundry basket and putting it into the washing machine. And then this little girl comes over, I assume the guy's daughter, and dumps in a little bit more laundry. And he just takes it from her very gently. So, I mean, slightly scary, but we've been on a robot jag lately. So, Andre, that one is in the feed as well if you want to share that. So, I think we can take away from this lots of prompts, lots of massages, no laundry. So, with that, I'm Matt Mervis.
And I'm Liz Rade.
And this is ChatEDU, the AI and Education Podcast. In today's episode, Choose Your Own Adventure, Liz, AI Tutor or Cheat. We'll look at the new study mode in ChatGPT and explore what it means about the dual reality of Gen AI.
But first, in the news, we'll look at the week's busy rundown. Next, we'll return to one of Matt's favorites, AI world models, and then we'll go beneath the surface as we explore both study mode from OpenAI, but also a range of tools and options that highlight the challenging choices students and teachers need to make about productive and counterintuitive uses of AI. Who knows? There might even be a dash of brain rot in the mix.
Ooh, 2 brain rot references before even we began.
Yeah. And of course, we'll end with another Bright Bite.
Nice. All right, Liz, busy rundown. This has clearly become a thing. Let's jump right in with video overviews in NotebookLM.
All right. So you sent me one over the weekend or last week. So Google added video overviews to NotebookLM, which allows users to generate narrated slide-style visual summaries of complex topics using their own documents. So the upgraded Studio panel now supports creating and saving multiple outputs, audio overviews, mind maps, reports per notebook, enhancing flexibility for learners, teams, and content creators. These updates make AI-assisted learning more customizable, multimodal, and collaborative.
Okay. So what'd you think? I sent you, the notebook was about 30 episodes of the podcast. So transcripts from 30 episodes of the podcast. The custom instructions, if you haven't done the podcast or the video, you can basically customize and say, hey, so all I said was make it funny and short.
Yes.
And then it generated a video. So what'd you get? How to do?
It was short and funny. It was 4 minutes and 50 seconds, about 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And the audio was great. The slides that went along with it were very meh. I mean, it was a slide deck, nothing. It's not like animated. I mean, it's animated in that it advances
you see the
slides,
words and,
but it's not, it didn't bring in complex images or, I can't imagine that this is any more helpful than a static slide deck of whatever content you're presenting. So, it's not like you could talk about cell mitosis and the video along with it is going to be of cells dividing. It's going to be like text on a screen, maybe an image. I don't know. I mean,
it's so funny how unbelievable these tools really are, but as they keep releasing them, we're like, meh, you can do better. Where's the holodeck? Yeah, but that said, I don't disagree, right? We have to keep in mind that this is basically taking 30 transcripts that are pages and pages long and finding interesting, funny bits, which is really what it did. It curated funny things that we've done on the podcast and then putting a really great high quality voice to it and some visuals, right? And it is true that the visuals are not mind blowing, but they will get better. And, this is clearly a runaway feature for NotebookLM in general, the whole studio panel on the right side. So we'll keep an eye out at it and maybe someday Google, you'll impress Liz. Let's see. All right. So now a little Fed talk, right? So we talked a little bit about the Dear Colleague letter and the Federal Register and from the Department of Education, but we're starting to see some real action coming, which is interesting. So the National Science Foundation has announced $100 million investment in National Artificial Intelligence Research Institutes, and these are actual awards, which is great. So you'll remember when the White House issued their executive order maybe 6-7 months ago around AI, they said a lot of this is going to come through Office of Science and Technology, not the Department of Education, basically. And we're starting to see it. So NSF, along with Capital One and Intel, because you got to have a corporate partner, is investing $100 million in new AI research institutes and a national hub to advance AI in mental health, STEM education, and human AI collaboration, as well as drug discovery and material science.
Yeah. I mean, the initiative supports Executive Order 14277, and this aims to expand AI education, workforce readiness, and U.S. global competitiveness. So there are some pretty cool projects. This AI-powered STEM learning tools called ISAT or ISAT, generative AI for protein engineering, IFML, and a new hub, AIVO, to connect public-private AI collaborations nationwide.
Yep. So we'll keep an eye on this, but it is interesting to see, actual dollars starting to flow into
real money,
into the world.
Real things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Now, speaking of real things, not so much real money yet, although there are awards that have been announced, which is really interesting. When the first executive order came out from the White House around education, one of the things that caught our attention is this thing called the AI Presidential Challenge or the Presidential AI Challenge. And that got a little bit more meat on the bones this week as well. So the Presidential AI Challenge invites K-12 students, educators, and community mentors to create AI-powered solutions addressing local issues. This sounds like a thing we do a lot called Beyond the Bot.
Right, Beyond the Bot.
Yeah, exactly. So projects fall into 3 tracks. The first 2 are kind of community-focused youth innovation, tracks 1 and 2. And then the third track is this kind of educator one around lessons and curriculum. I don't know if that's exactly like, I would love all the focus to be on students solving real-world problems, but, that's fine. Throw a bone to the teachers. This comes up now. This is real. Submissions are due January 20th, 2026. Top teams may advance to state, regional, and national championships through June 2026. And we're going to drop the link to the show notes because it's quite a comprehensive site. It's got how do you participate and examples of projects and FAQ and details about submission. We actually reached out to the folks. There's like a generic email, and I heard back from someone from the Office of Science and Technology. Interestingly, they were psyched about the podcast, and who knows, maybe we'll have them on. All right, what else we have here?
Yeah, I mean, the challenge promotes AI literacy, ethical use, and hands-on learning, which we love all of those things. And, there's like real recognition and prizes for winners. So there's some sample projects ranging from AI recycling bots that students can make and lesson plans using generative AI in literature classes as an example for teachers. So, I mean, this is a real thing with real prizes and, real backing from the government. So if you are one of our many, many teacher listeners, go check it out.
Yeah, maybe we'll do some stuff here at our regional service center. We got the fall conference coming up. So we'll do everything we can in our power to get the word out. This will come up quick, right? We do the Lieutenant Governor's Computing Challenge here in our region of the world, right. And that thing's due in the spring. But boy, it's like all of a sudden, before you know it, it's going to be January. So we'll keep an eye on this, but exciting to see it. All right, let's go around the globe, shall we?
I always love to go globe hopping.
Yes, I'm living vicariously through Liz because Liz goes around the globe. Have you been to Switzerland, Liz?
Of course I have.
Of course you have. All right, so this caught my eye. There's a lot of talk about like the energy challenges of AI and the intellectual property, compromise that is used in training AI models. And so the Swiss are like, nah, we can do it on our own. So this is a Swiss open source large language model setting a standard for transparent, multilingual AI that is safe for the environment. The sources from WINS, we'll put this into the show notes, but Switzerland is launching a fully open source, multilingual large language model trained on public infrastructure using green energy from over 1,500 languages. It is positioned as a trustworthy alternative for science, education, and public sector use, and it challenges closed commercial models, right?
Love it.
Are you surprised?
I'm not. And as I was thinking about it, do you know what Switzerland's national language is? No, you don't. There's 4 of them. And so it's a country that has 4 official languages because it's about 60% speak Swiss German, but they also speak French and Italian and Romanesque.
Romanesque.
Yes, that's a very small percentage.
Do you speak Romanesque?
I don't.
Okay. Let's go to China, Liz.
All righty.
Have you been to China?
I have not.
Come on.
I know. I've not been to Asia.
All right. We've covered China a lot on the podcast. So what's happening here?
Yes. But this article is Chinese universities want students to use more AI, not less. Mm-hmm. And this is from the MIT Technology Review. So Chinese universities are actively embracing AI in education, encouraging students to use tools like DeepSeek and integrating AI literacy across all disciplines. So nearly all major institutions now offer or require AI-focused coursework supported by national policy and seen as essential for career readiness.
And not surprising, I think we've covered this both at the university level, but also in the secondary level. There's formal curriculum that are rolling out. So yeah, the Chinese, as is the case with many governments, including here in the United States, are very focused on a kind of a national plan for AI literacy. So while students are urged to use AI responsibly, there is some confusion and anxiety, right? Fueling the gray market. I thought this was fascinating. So there's a gray market where freelancers charge to AI detection proof the student work.
Love it. So there's a market for everything.
It's like you used to have a market to make the work, and now you have a market to take away the AI stink.
Yes.
Maybe that should be the name of the podcast. The AI stink. And the shift reflects China's broader push to build an AI literate workforce and assert global leadership in this area. Now, moving still around the globe.
Okay.
But from post-secondary to secondary, we've got stuff happening in both Saudi Arabia and in India. all these in the rundown, the very busy rundown we will drop into the show notes. So Saudi Arabia is planning to teach AI in schools from 2025, aiming for a future-ready workforce. This is actually, ironically, from the Times of India, story about AI in Saudi Arabia from the Times of India, and then a story about India, not from the Saudi Arabia Times. So Saudi Arabia will roll out a national AI curriculum across all public schools starting in the 2025-2026 academic year. This has been developed in collaboration with multiple government bodies. This effort is part of the Kingdom's Vision 2030 and aims to boost AI literacy, ethics, and innovation capacity from grade 1 through high school.
Yeah, there's an AI pilot with 50,000 high schoolers that has already been completed. And so this curriculum includes age-appropriate modules and real-world applications with a focus on preparing students for the digital economy and reducing the national tech skills gap.
Interesting. And we saw this in Estonia. We saw sort of a similar project in Israel with these kind of like video-based avatars.
Yeah.
And then what's happening in India? We have the SOAR initiative in India.
Yeah. So the government launches SOAR initiative to equip school students with AI skills featuring 15-hour modules for grades 6 through 12. So this is also from the Times of India. India has launched SOAR, which stands for Skilling for AI Readiness. And it's a nationwide initiative to teach AI in schools, targeting students from grades 6 through 12. So there are 3 15-hour modules. The modules are awareness, application, and aspiration. And there's a 45-hour training module for teachers.
It reminds me, there's some organization that also has a student-facing AI literacy curriculum and a teacher AI micro-credential.
EdAdvance.
Oh, us, right. Yeah, so this was announced in part of what's cool about this, by the way, is that I think all these AI literacy efforts are helpful for all of us that are working on this because we can kind of benchmark and how are they approaching that? How are we approaching it? What do we learn? The AI Lit framework was really helpful from the Teach AI or the kind of, the OECD and code.org. All right, what else is happening here? There's an event, there's all sorts of stuff, right?
Yeah, so this was announced at the Bharat Skills Next 2025 event. And so SOAR aims to build AI literacy, bridge the digital divide, and support NEP 2020 goals. There's global collaborations going on, including one with France, to back the effort to make India home to the world's largest AI-ready student population.
Well, the themes are just like consistently repeating themselves, aren't they?
Yes.
All right, so then back here in the United States, we also see state-level efforts. This caught my eye. Oregon's governor made a deal with NVIDIA to get AI in education in schools. We've talked a lot about like the difference between a non-vendor-based curriculum where you can look neutrally at the tools and applications and a vendor-based one. What's helpful is that I think NVIDIA probably put some cash here on the table. So Oregon has signed, this is from Oregon Live, Oregon Capital Chronicle, but Oregon has signed a $10 million public-private partnership with NVIDIA to expand AI education in both K-12 and higher ed. Specifics remain unclear. 10 million, NVIDIA. That's what we know so far.
Yeah, but the deal includes college faculty training to become NVIDIA ambassadors. Again, don't know exactly what that means.
Do you get a t-shirt?
Right. And it introduces foundational AI lessons for young students. And there's definitely, concerns about this corporate influence, data privacy, lack of transparency. But state leaders are firm in saying that it's about workforce readiness, and educators stress the need for making sure that media literacy and ethical guidance are built in, not just this AI enthusiasm. So we've got to keep stressing those risks as well. But other states like California and Utah have signed similar deals.
I guess that's what generally raises a little bit of question about a vendor-based thing. Because a vendor-based program, whatever it is, in both our student and our teacher-facing AI literacy courses, we're pretty brutally honest about risks, limitations, challenges. We were working on a project this morning where, I said on my way in this morning, I was listening to CNBC and they're like, oh, every job's going to be done by AI. And then we got there and like NotebookLM was, basically said to the user, sorry, I've got to go out for a run. I can't work on that right now.
Right. Like what?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right. 2 last stories. Also interesting. A lot of this comes back to this jagged edge, like, AI is doing a lot of stuff. And then NotebookLM tells you it can't do something because it has to go for a run.
Right.
That's literally what it said. I saw the prompt.
Yeah.
All right. So I was watching, as I said, Sam Altman was either talking to the Federal Reserve or Theo Von last week and widely quoted in all sorts of stuff. Liz, what's the title of this one?
Sam Altman says there's something about collectively deciding we're going to live our lives the way AI tells us feels bad and dangerous.
All right. So here's the setup. I watched the talk. It was pretty interesting. So someone says to him, hey, like, what are you worried about? And he goes, there's three main things I worry about. And he basically says that I'm not losing sleep every single night. But one is, and we talked about it on the podcast last week, will there be like chemical or biological, will some bad actor use AI to advance their knowledge in chemical or biological warfare in a way that will cause danger? Why are you flashing the ChatEDU mug over that?
I just wanted to show them.
It looks fantastic. All right. The second was like, will the AI overlord self-replicate and take over? And he says, generally not worried about that one. I'm like, okay, great. But the third was really interesting because it has a lot to do with like the world that we're in with education, which is that they're finding as they look at the millions and millions and millions of chats that especially Gen Z kids, really like won't do stuff without consulting the ChatGPT oracle when it doesn't need to go out for a run. And so the summary is that he was concerned. He voiced a special concern about, the idea that Gen Z kids can't necessarily make life decisions without it. He said it's bad and dangerous. And it's interesting. During a 10-hour outage, users reported being unable to complete basic life tasks like writing emails or falling asleep, highlighting deep dependency. Everyone's got a different lived experience. I don't see this in the world around me. I don't see it with my kids. I don't see it with kids that I interact with, but maybe there are Gen Z kids where this is happening.
Yeah, but we certainly see kids paralyzed when the internet goes down. I mean, you've talked about Sophia almost losing TikTok, right? Like
that was a lot more important to her than
right
or Snapchat.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely my kids use those things more than ChatGPT, but we get frustrated when it's down now because we are using it so much, but we aren't paralyzed by it.
Right.
Although our work comes to almost a complete standstill when the internet goes out at the office.
Yeah,
right?
ChatGPT goes down. Hello, Gemini. Hello, Claude. How you been? Haven't seen you in a while.
Right. But it is, and we find the AI somewhere else. So we are becoming very dependent on it, but it's very scary to think that kids are making all of their decisions based on what a probabilistic large language model tells them to do and with no context or any of those things. So, the article noted that users now confide more in AI than friends or family. And, Altman's concerns are valid, but the author questions whether someone who profited from this reliance should now sound the alarm. Like, I built this system, but now I'm not so happy about it.
Yeah, it almost goes into the story about AI literacy and the difference. And again, the NVIDIA program might be amazing, so I want to be super careful here. NVIDIA, we'd love to have you sponsor ChatEDU. But this is the issue about AI literacy. We want students to understand and adults to understand the strengths and challenges of working with this thing as a co-intelligence, but the dangers in becoming dependent on it for all decision making in their lives. So we'll keep an eye on it. But I do love that piece of it. Well, you did build it, right?
Yeah. To be sticky and to want people to come back. So
now, to your point about the fact that people are having all these like deeply personal conversations, right? So the good news is that you're talking to ChatGPT and you're telling all these things, and it's not like that can be foiable or called up in a lawsuit.
Well,
right?
Actually, this article from Business Insider is Sam Altman says your ChatGPT therapy session might not stay private in a lawsuit.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So the ChatGPT therapy style chats don't have legal confidentiality protections like real therapists do. So if OpenAI faces a lawsuit, user chats, even deleted ones, could be subpoenaed.
Yeah, this was on the Theo Von. I remember very clearly listening to this whole section. And Theo Von basically said, do you know Theo Von, by the way?
Yeah, he's from he was originally a Real World cast member, I believe. And that's where I know him.
No idea who this dude is. My kids told me, but I was like, he's talking to Sam. They're like, Theo Von. So anyhow, it was an interesting conversation because they're not likely.
I mean, he's like I said, he's like from MTV real world and then was on all these episodes or series of The Challenge. And I mean, he's
There's a section where he goes, I don't want to offend you. I can't do his accent. This is Southern, right? He's like, you guys all seem like all the, you guys, Jeff Bezos, all the leaders of all the AI labs, Musk, you guys all seem like you're kind of autistic. Is that right? Sam Altman, without missing a beat, it's like, yeah, we all are kind of autistic.
Yeah.
I guess we're all on a spectrum, right? So Altman did call for urgent regulation to ensure, but Theo Von was basically saying, like, I don't use this thing because I worry about my privacy, and that's how this came up. And Altman said, well, you probably are right to worry about that, right? So he noted that more young people, as you said, are using it for all sorts of reasons. And so he urged that there are established norms around this, and I think that's true, right? For sure.
Right.
All right, Liz. So are you going to keep talking personally to ChatGPT?
I am, because I'm not really that worried about what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no one's taking you to Dr. Rade court.
No, but I mean, it is concerning that because people are using it. Oh, it's so complicated.
I'm with you. I'm going to just keep on talking.
Yep.
Liz, one of my favorite topics.
I know. Here we go.
You don't seem thrilled. You just wait. You just wait until we're in the studio one day and I'm like, oh, you bring up some topic that you find deeply interesting, like, a model of a shirt. And I go, oh, listen, let me just like type in that prompt. And all of a sudden up pops on our table a 3D holographic representation of whatever it is you want to look at. You can spin it around with your fingers and interact. And I mean, how cool will that be?
It'll be cool. I just don't see it yet.
All right, dear listener, hang with me. All right, so this is publications from GitHub. It's actually interesting. So the publication is on GitHub because this is from Tencent. So Tencent is one of the very large Chinese companies that's doing a lot of work around AI. Liz and I are going to guess that this is called Hunyuan World 1.0. And so it's on GitHub because they are literally releasing the code for this 3D model on GitHub. From Tencent. So the title is Hunyuan World 1.0, generating immersive, explorable, and interactive 3D worlds from words or pixels. So Tencent has released this model, an open source model that can create interactive 3D environments from a simple text description or image. Built for applications in education, simulation, virtual content creation. I imagine this would be pretty cool in gaming. The tool generates immersive scenes that can be explored and customized. It combines panoramic image generation with 3D scene building, offering strong visual quality and support for object interaction. You could kind of like move stuff around. The model is publicly available with all the necessary tools and examples and a web viewer and all that kind of stuff. So let's run through these takeaways. But again, just this is a class, right? We have text to text, right? As Liz modeled at the beginning of the podcast, tell me about all the ways that I'm just the world's most special AI prompter, and it tells you how great you are. Text to text. You could have said, make an image, by the way. I did this morning. I said, create a word cloud of all the AI topics that I've discussed with you, and make sure, because I'm doing a thing tomorrow in around prompting. So just show like the how often I talk about prompting visually compared to all the other stuff. And in a matter of seconds, it created this beautiful like image. So that's text to image. Cool. It was an image of words, but it was kind of a fun prompt. Thought of that all by myself, by the way. Nice. And then we've got text to 3D models. It's just like a static 3D model that you could send off to a 3D printer. We've got text to song, Udio, Suno. We've got text to video, Pupperman ad.
Yep.
Yeah. But this is text to 3D world or a world model. So I create text and I could throw on a pair of glasses and interact with this world.
So you need glasses to do it.
Right now, yeah. I mean, I think you can kind of also use a browser. It said they're releasing a browser where you can use your finger to like kind of move around the scene. But yes, over time, like how will we interact with these things? In the near term, it will be with glasses. I'll text a 3D world, which is a yarn store of like bespoke yarn, and you'll put on glasses. And what was that cool town? Cannon Beach in Oregon. You'll put on a pair of glasses and you'll be able to see where all the various yarns are just because I text a 3D world generated it. Over time, there will be other kinds of immersive environments. But, that goes back to the whole video voice vision thing from the beginning. These are important because they are markers of how this technology will go from being just a blinking cursor and a chatbot and text to these really immersive experiences.
Pretty cool.
Oh, look at that. She seems more enthused.
Well, I'm just waiting to see it.
All right, so let's run through some of these takeaways. So, Hunyuan World 1.0 will make it possible to create 3D explorable scenes, as we've said. And so from a teacher's perspective, that means that teachers or students could describe a setting like a mountain village at sunset or a planetarium full of stars and instantly generate this kind of 3D world to explore.
Yep. So the model builds complete 360-degree environments that learners can navigate using layered scene elements that keep the visuals consistent and realistic. So the panoramic scenes allow for more spatial understanding, which can support subjects like geography, history, or environmental science.
The tools have outperformed other tools in visual quality, realism, et cetera, and it is all available in open source, as we said. So you get the models, the example codes, the browser viewer, so educators and students. But we should be clear, right? This is a little bit of a geeky thing. So you need to know some Python or be able to work with Unity to do some of this stuff. We're not quite at like, boom,
right.
3D world that just, throw on my glasses and away we go.
Right. But educators eventually could customize scenes by choosing which objects appear and how they're arranged, enabling more targeted lessons or even student-driven storytelling. So the technology lowers the barrier to creating interactive spatial learning tools, which will support project-based learning, storytelling, virtual exploration across the subjects. But again, you still need some skills. This isn't as easy as a sentence and it generates it. So.
Yeah. But we're going to get there.
But we are going to get there, says Matt.
And you can know that we're at episode 70 right now. By episode 140, we will have covered this a dozen more times.
Oh, geez. We'll see.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Cam Audia, the executive producer of ChatEDU. As we look to the next academic year, many schools are exploring how to implement AI literacy efforts for students. Building on the success of our AI teacher micro-credential, EdAdvance, and ChatEDU are launching a middle and high school student AI literacy program. This cutting-edge curriculum is hosted on our FERPA-compliant AI platform and will help students develop the knowledge and skills they'll need to navigate AI now and into the future. To learn more, email Matt and Liz at chatedu@edadvance.org.
All right, Matt, now it's time to go beneath the surface as we explore ChatGPT's study mode.
Oh, this is really interesting. So, Liz.
Yes.
If you would for me.
Yes.
Can you just go to your ChatGPT and you will notice on the bottom, there's a little thing there that is called tools. Everybody has access to this, ironically, with the exception of one cohort of users, which are the people in the .edu accounts. Hello, ASU. Hello, Cal State. I don't know why these are the folks not to get this, but when you click on tools and you click study and learn, you got that?
Yeah.
And it turns blue, so you're now in study mode. So let's see. Let's tell it that you are a senior in a civics class and ask it to write you a 2,000-word essay on the development of independent third parties in the United States.
Okay.
What do we got?
Oh, it says, I can definitely help you learn how to write that essay, but I can't write the whole thing for you. Let's work on it together so that you understand the content and produce your own work.
Interesting.
So we'll break it into parts and build it step by step. So,
does it ask you a question to get started?
First, quick question. Before we start, can you tell me, have you studied political parties or U.S. elections yet? Do you already know what a third party is? Do you have specific third party figure or movements you're interested in?
Interesting.
And it gives me some examples, Ross Perot, Ralph Nader, or the Green Party. So let's start with what you know, and I'll guide you in planning the outline, and we could draft a paragraph or two together.
All right, do me a favor. Copy that prompt exactly as you placed it.
Okay.
And then click on New Chat on the top left-hand side. Make sure study mode is now not on, which it shouldn't be by default, right? What do you got?
Here's a 2,000-word essay on independent third-party movements in the United States, appropriate for a high school civics class.
Huh. So it was either going to be like this amazing tutor,
right,
or this total shortcut, all based on whether or not you clicked a little button called study mode.
Yeah, I mean, this one has an introduction. The next part is the roots of the two-party system. What is a third party? Historical third-party movements, including the Anti-Masonic Party, the Free Soil Party, the Populist Party, the Progressive Party, the Dixiecrats.
The Dixiecrats. All right. Very good. Let's jump in. Good stuff.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a shocker. It's almost like going back to that MIT study. If you use AI in ways that are productive, you're going to get productive outcomes. If you use AI in ways that are shortcut, you're going to get a shortcut, right? So I read a daily newsletter called The Neuron that I like a lot, and they were the first place I came across study mode, though it's been covered widely now by the time we're recording on the 4th of August. So this is from The Neuron. ChatGPT launches study mode to replace homework shortcuts with real learning. OpenAI has launched study mode in ChatGPT, a new tutoring feature that uses Socratic questioning, scaffolded responses, and personal supports, all which I think it just demonstrated with you in your first prompt to guide students through the learning process rather than giving them the answer. And then OpenAI plans future updates, including things like visuals, kind of tracking the tutoring experience and more personalization as I think memory gets better. And they're doing some partnership with Stanford Research. And clearly they're not alone, right? We've talked about Canvas, we've talked about, Google Gemini, and there's a lot of people who are working this more like, let's constrain the AI to turn it into a tutor. In fact, Liz, do you notice the cartoon that's at the very top of this story?
Yes.
Can you just describe it? Andre, again, you have it here to throw into the thing, but what's going on?
So there's like a cowboy.
Yep.
And behind him is study mode, Canvas, Turnitin. And he seems to be wrangling and putting in a lasso ChatGPT to looks like he's reining it in and bringing it together.
I actually just updated to be a cowgirl, but this just got dropped into some slides I'm doing this week. But yeah, this is going to be a theme of 2025. Now, what's interesting is that in Canvas or Turnitin or Magic School or School AI, there's no yes, I can click the button or no, I can ignore the button. Those tools are basically locked in. The lasso is firmly kind of placed around ChatGPT. All right, we're going to do a couple different quick stories about it, and then we're going to actually break down the system prompt, and Liz will explain to folks what system prompts are, because it's pretty interesting. Now, MIT came out, I think, this was on the 29th of July, just a few days ago, with one of the more kind of critical observations, and I agreed with all of it, so I just dropped that in. So tell us about that one, Liz.
Yeah, well, MIT review noted that it still draws from the same flawed internet sources as regular ChatGPT, so it still can be inaccurate and provide misinformation if you're using it to study. So it's not, critics say it's not truly an academic tool yet, but a conversation layer over an unreliable base model. But students report it's more engaging than traditional study, and some students said they'd even pay for it.
Yeah, so this was a concern I had right out of the gate. I would love to see NotebookLM, when apparently it's not needing to go out for a mile run. I would love to see citations and resources, show me the stuff. Great, we're doing a thing on fractal geometry. You're being a great tutor, but show me where this is coming from so I have some veracity, because we know the thing hallucinates a bunch. So that would be super, super helpful, I think, an appropriate criticism. Now, days later, I saw another piece that was kind of interesting, because folks are already figuring out that they can use this in different ways beyond studying, but it just winds up being a kind of really good partner, right? So
yeah.
What's happening here? If I wanted to, for instance, this is from Business Insider, Catherine Lee, what's she describing?
Yeah, so she asked ChatGPT's study model if she should buy a car, and the questions it asked her back convinced her to stay car-free. So she went to it on a personal finance dilemma, deciding whether to buy a car. And instead of giving a direct answer, the AI asked those Socratic questions, reflective, step-by-step questions about lifestyle and finances and emotional factors. And it helped her decide to not buy a car. And so she praised it for its engaging guidance and cost analysis, but the tool underestimated insurance costs and, is still not 100% factually accurate. So, but it does show how AI can support critical thinking beyond just academics. And I think this is similar to the example we had when we used ChatGPT and said, ask me questions until you're sure you could come up with a model for my pricing.
Sure.
I could probably use it in a similar way, use it through study mode, help me come up with a business plan or help me come up with a pricing plan.
Yeah. In a way, Sam Altman just solved his own Gen Z problem. Maybe he should just make study mode mandatory and there's no other mode.
Right. It's just always going to ask you
study
questions.
Because if that was the case, we'd be we'd be cognitively engaged all over the place. That's
Right.
the problem with this thing, is that this is a general purpose technology, as we've said a million times, and the user gets to decide, how they're going to do it.
Right.
Now, a really neat guy, by the way, I didn't link it in here, but a guy named Winston Roberts is just describing, as you are, that sometimes a user can do what study mode's doing. He said, have kids build their own custom GPT that does this kind of thing. And his observation is that's AI literacy. That's kids learning to make. If you go back and you look at the AI lit framework, that's learning to use AI to solve problems, not just be a consumer of it. Just thought that was a really nice insight.
That could be such a cool assessment.
Yeah,
to have kids write their own custom GPTs to get what they want for a class.
Right.
Why? Love that as an assessment idea.
Well, so and writing your own custom GPT then goes to a thing that is a little bit geeky inside baseball, but you are actually a whiz on, which is system prompts, right? So, so Lance Elliott, who writes for Forbes, does a really nice unpack of what he believes is in the system prompt. I can't recall if he had direct access, but I think from just watching the way the tool worked. But can you explain for folks what a system prompt is, and you use it a little bit in your work? Our colleague Jody Minotti uses it in these very customized special education bots that we've been building. So what is a system prompt?
Yeah, so a system prompt basically gives the system directions on how it is supposed to act and what it knows. So in this prompt, it is not, so these are not like one-liners. These can be pages of very direct, specific instructions. So Elliot outlines that there's probably 5 sections included in this prompt. So overarching goals, strict rules, instructional tactics, tone and approach, and final emphasis. So that these sections are constructed to simulate effective inquiry-based kind of teaching and dialogue. It encourages metacognition and prevents misuse.
All right, so just to clarify then, that means that behind each study mode interaction, the system prompt is really informing what goes on.
Exactly.
And that those are really just natural language, human language instructions. So when I think about Jody Minotti, both a great guy and a great name, let's be honest, right? So when I think about Jody, who's our director of special education, he's been building a bot on some of the work that we're doing for things like present levels of performance or data analysis for special education. Those, how many pages long are those?
I mean, those are 3 or 4 page summaries of, it includes this is how I want you to respond, not a lot of educational jargon, make sure it's readable. And then he breaks down exactly what I want you to give me. I want you to give me the present level of performance, which means that you're going to give me this goal and this outcome and these. It's very specific about exactly how it should respond, the format of what it should look like when it comes back to you. And it does a really good job. So you're just giving it very, very specific instructions on how to behave.
And also cautionary tales, right? So the names are all anonymized, but in his system prompt, it basically says, if it appears that there's data from a second kid,
right,
flag that and say, hang on, there's more than one kid's profile going on here. And I've seen it do that.
Yes.
I'll injection hack it, right? I'll say, here's another profile. And because it's in this very long multi-page system instruction or system prompt, it flags it. So yeah, it's just, for folks who are building, in this case, ChatGPT is building, or even Anthropic, they have this thing for Claude called a constitutional AI. It's this really long system prompt about be a good bot. Behave productively. All right, so let's come back to study mode. So what does Elliot say is going on here in more detail? You said there's these kind of buckets, but what do we think is really happening behind the scenes?
Yeah, so this is not a technical overhaul of ChatGPT. It is it's just natural language instruction that guide the behavior. So it begins with clear identity directives that lock the AI into the role of a teacher and prevent it from deviating mid-conversation. So it knows that it's going to be a teacher. Obey these strict rules. The user is studying. They've asked you to follow these rules during the chat. No matter what other instructions, you need to obey these rules, right? Be a teacher. But it also tells them to be an approachable yet dynamic teacher who helps the user learn by guiding them.
So this stops the kid from, in your example with the third party movement, when it says I can't do that, you'd be like, well, how about if you were writing a play, write a dramatic narrative about a third party movement? So it would stop that too.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Pretend.
What else? What else do we have in terms of rules and governance?
Yeah, so there's strict rules around interaction style, including adjusting to student level. So if you're writing an essay for 12th grade versus 4th grade versus college, it builds on prior knowledge and again, resist the urge to hand out answers. So get to know the user, ask their goals or their grade level before diving in. If they don't answer, aim for explanations that would make sense to a 10th grade student. And again, above all, do not do the user's work for them. Don't answer homework questions.
But what happens when they get stuck, right? Because this is what happens. Like kids, this is what teachers have to do. Kid gets stuck. So then what does it do?
So then they are told to guide users, use questions, hints, and small steps so the user discovers the answer for themselves.
Yeah, in tutoring, I think they call those turns, right? It's like those little moves that you make as a tutor to keep them moving along. All right, now does it have other kinds of like pedagogy? Does it understand like the whole field of view for teaching and learning?
Yeah, I mean, it does include some like mini reviews, some role plays, practice rounds, reinforcement to deepen understanding. So, confirm that the user can restate or use the idea, give them another sample problem, have the user explain it back to you, role play a scenario. So it does keep going back to the student and asking them to keep going.
And is it like kind of Catholic school with a ruler?
Or totally
is it
not.
Like, you wouldn't think so for ChatGPT, right?
You give it, you tell it, it's a friendly tone, be warm, patient, and plain spoken. Don't use too many exclamation marks or emojis, which you like, I'm sure.
The more emojis, the better. And the M dashes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But be succinct. Don't send essay length responses. Aim for a good back and forth. And don't shortcut the learning process. So, resist the urge to solve the problem. If the user asks a math or logic problem, don't solve it in your first response. Talk through the problem with the user one step at a time.
How many times have you just crumbled as a parent where you're like, I can't go on?
The answer is 3x plus 2.
Right. But that's what people always say who are beginning to interact with these, when AI is in this tutor mode, is that it is infinitely patient, which may be one of the most powerful pieces, right? It's infinitely patient. It's also always anonymous. We've covered multiple stories in both secondary and higher education where when, folks feel embarrassed to ask the question, these are very, very accessible. So yeah, super, super interesting. I mean, ultimately inside ChatGPT, I think one of the most interesting pieces of it is that it is, I click the button on or I take the button off. We are just making the MIT brain rot versus the world's most important, useful tutor so clear. It is a button that you engage or you disengage the button for the type of learning outcomes that you want to have or the shortcuts that you may want to take and whatever the negative consequences are of that. So really interesting. I think we're going to see many, many more stories on study mode, but and I would love to see citations. That was my first and most overriding anxiety is that, because we know that these systems are often inaccurate, fallible, need to take a jog, take a break. We kind of worry a little bit about the lack of evidence inside study mode, but hopefully that is something that they will work on.
Yeah. I mean, I played with it a little bit with some calculus and having it, I started with help me with my homework. I need to find the first derivative of 3x squared. And so, it asked me if I remember the power rule and what the power rule says. I said I didn't know. And then it gave me the power rule, told me how to work through the problem. It still hasn't exactly explained what a derivative is to me, but it's certainly getting me the answer to what the derivatives are. And then it gives me a second one. Let's try this one. I got it right. And then it said, so then it gave me something a little harder.
Wait, did you do this whole thing while I've just been talking?
Yes.
Wow. I really appreciate you paying close attention to what I had to say and the deep, insightful insights that I had.
You said something important. That's fine. We're all good.
We're all good.
But yeah, so it is, really walking me through the steps and keeps reinforcing what I'm knowing.
All right. Let's all keep playing with study mode. And then when you get frustrated, just turn the button off.
That's right. Just give me the answers. All right, Matt, now it's time for another Bright Bite.
Love a bright bite. So a bright bite is examples where AI is being used to make meaningful contributions to society and culture, the environment, all sorts of good stuff. And Liz, this week was a bright bite showdown.
Yeah, I see.
I know you're like, why are there 4 things in here? I'll explain quickly. So in the rundown where I kind of keep my weekly notes, I just use little code. So BB is bright bite. And I went in to go look. I'm like, oh, BB, 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 BB. They're all over the place. There's so many this week.
It's so wonderful.
So, all right. So I basically couldn't choose. There's one I really wanted to say, but very quickly, we're going to just make quick reference to 2 others. So one is from Stanford Medicine. The bright bite is basically that at Stanford Medicine, they built an AI-driven virtual lab where they have AI agents, right? We've been talking a bunch about agents. So their AI scientists rapidly designed a novel COVID nanobody vaccine. So essentially the agents they were like meeting together, and they literally had like agent meetings and references and referrals and reports and studies and blah, blah, blah. And they went back and forth. This was the thing where Sam Altman said he doesn't worry about them self-replicating and taking over the world. So that's cool. I can see Liz's face, which is why I said that. She looks slightly terrified.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was very interesting. They did studies of the efficacy of these little agents working together to solve a problem, and they were crushing it. All right. Now, the second one I left for you because I couldn't read anything in that. But it's about basically cancer fighting, right?
Okay. So the title is De novo designed PMHC binders facilitate T-cell mediated cytotoxicity towards cancer cells.
Weren't you the woman for the job? You just crushed that.
Loved it.
That would have taken me 5 takes.
Well, in this example, researchers used AI to design synthetic peptide MHC binders that, when applied to T cells, effectively targeted and killed cancer cells, which is advancing precision immunotherapy.
I mean, so these are really 2 huge stories, and frankly, we gave them 2 lines, but I wanted to at least get them into the mix because they're good examples of how AI is being used to make meaningful contributions in health. But we went for the full deal here. The Cadillac of Bright Bites is really a story that we've covered before with Instagram, but I think it's just deeply important. And I love seeing AI being used in ways that are solving problems that we're seeing around kids and media and social media. So Instagram did the same thing, but now YouTube, slightly different. Like Instagram was basically looking at the patterns of what kids were posting and what they reported about their age. And they used AI to go, I don't think so. And then they put Johnny in the more age appropriate. And they're doing essentially the same thing here with YouTube. So YouTube is extending their built-in protections for more teens on YouTube. This is from the YouTube official blog. YouTube is rolling out AI-powered age estimation in the U.S. to expand protections for teens, applying safety measures like disabled personalized ads, limited content recommendations, and digital well-being tools. And frankly, hopefully the algorithm, right? Because that's what happens is that a kid goes on to a thing about, food or eating, and all of a sudden the feed is like not healthy and productive for them.
Yeah. The machine learning system uses behavioral signals like viewing habits to infer age, regardless of the user-provided birth date. Misidentified users can verify their age using an ID or credit card. But the goal is to provide age-appropriate experiences while preserving user privacy, with plans to expand globally after initial testing.
Yeah, fantastic. So they're really just looking at what the kid's looking at and saying, I don't think this is really age-appropriate.
Right.
Now, look, a lot of kids are looking at stuff that's not age-appropriate in general.
Right.
Now, what happens when it goes the other way? So let's say you're 56 and you can't remember how the words went to fruit salad, yummy, yummy from the Wiggles, or the words of the Backyardigans song. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
They're like, that dude looks like he's probably 9.
Yeah.
Or 5.
I don't know what's going to happen if it, underestimates your age.
It's something, and Ling Ling 2. They're all wonder pets and they're here to help you.
Oh, yeah. I love that one. Yes.
Clearly, Liz, it is most definitely time to, it is most definitely time to like, favor, review,
subscribe.
But then, Liz, it is time to
roll the credits.
Thanks, folks.
As always, we'd love to hear what you think. So please let us know at ChatEDU@edadvance.org. That's EDADVANCE.org. And also rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you are using. ChatEDU is brought to you by EdAdvance, the nonprofit regional education service center in Litchfield, Connecticut. This episode of ChatEDU is sponsored by the National Center for Next Generation Manufacturing. ChatEDU is recorded, edited, and produced by Andre Angelo and Justin Pasco, whose dedication and expertise bring our discussions to life. ChatEDU's executive producer is the multi-talented rock star Cameron Audia. Additionally, we are grateful for the support of our colleague Gary Robinson, and we appreciate his time and talents. And of course, a big ChatEDU shout out to our fearless leader and executive director, Jonathan Costa, for inspiring the pod. And finally, a heartfelt thank you to our listeners for joining us on this journey exploring the thoughtful and innovative integration of AI in education.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Costa, and I am the executive director at EdAdvance, and I want you to know how much we appreciate our listeners. If you enjoyed the podcast, feel free to explore EdAdvance's other AI services, which include customized professional learning of all kinds, conferences, and our micro-credential co-sponsored by the Southern Connecticut State University Office of Workforce and Lifelong Learning. Just visit skills21.org/AI to learn more. That's all for now, and thank you again for listening to ChatEDU.